Robin Young was in Foster, Rhode Island recently, where she found a company called Droll Yankee, which was inspired by Plato and a paperclip.
And Edison and Thoreau. Bear with me on this one. You see, when Peter Kilham was a much younger engineer, he met a man who said the paperclip is perfectly beautiful because it's perfectly practical. Later, he read Plato, who held forth that for everything here on earth, there is a perfect version on heaven. The goal on earth is to approach that perfection. Well, 60 years later, Peter Kilham has come as close as most mortals can.
Well, of course, I decided with great things, building these enormous castles. And then I came to the conclusion, like that paperclip, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you do it as well as you can. If I'm going to make a bird feeder, I'm going to make the best bird feeder ever made or not. Feeders are the most difficult things I've ever tried to design because I cannot figure out a bird's brain and what he is going to do. I find that you have to make models in order to find out how the birds will like it.
How do you know when a bird likes it?
Oh, they'll tell you quick enough. You have to study their motion and how they climb and how they work. And it's like books in the running books, as it were. It's all there. Everything's there if we could only see it.
Peter accepts the sounds of birds at the feeders as applause for his improvements, like the individualized models, the no-slip toe grip, and the bubble squirrel guards. And sales indicate that owners also approve.
See, in spite of all the hard times, our direct mail is holding right up.
Yes.
It's good. We really aren't.
His company, called Droll Yankee, offers 11 feeders, a guarantee against calamity, and a consumer complaint department managed by Peter's wife, Dorothy.
Peter, here's a man that has a problem with his feeder, and would you want to send him a new tube free or charge him for it?
What does he say?
Well, 4 squirrels attacked it, and with bow and arrow, he tried to retaliate, but mortally wounded the feeder instead.
Well, that fellow got his feeder, and the same guarantee accompanies their second big seller, records. Albums like The Swamp in June and my personal favorite, Birds on a May Morning, are considered among the best of recorded natural sound, and they're recorded and narrated by Kilham, sometimes right at home.
It is a beautiful mid-May morning in the country, and the birds are in full song. Let's take a stroll into the fields and woods and enjoy the sounds of spring.
Well, you just can't go out and bang and record a bird. All birds have a route they travel, and they travel the same route every day and often every year. So I set up a great parabolic reflector.
In the yard stands the mountain house, and as we approach it, the mountains flutter off in dismay.
You have to practically live with the birds before you start to learn their habits. Now, birding, I will go. But in most cases, it is very important to be there before the birds wake up. And also, it's better if you've lived there and know where they're going to go.
Now the nasal notes of a white-breasted nuthatch and the drumming of a hairy woodpecker. The woodpecker will select a hollow log to do his drumming.
Peter, I was wondering, what do you think one of these mornings would be like without the sounds of birds?
Oh, it would be awful. Remember Rachel Carson's Silent Spring?
Why do the birds affect us so?
Well, because they're utter freedom, I think.
Peter Kilham will tell you that all great artists look to nature for inspiration, that Da Vinci studied birds to build planes, that Thoreau wouldn't buy a farm without a bog, and that he often goes to his own to observe the beautiful and the practical, like the creature whose color is also his cover.
Now, you see some squirming thing?
Oh, it's a frog.
Oh, green frog. Wood frogs live in that pool.
Now, what kind of compassion can you feel for a wood frog?
Well, I'm very fond of them because they're one of the first signs of spring. And they amaze me because why, of all the puddles around here, they prefer that place. And then their voice is something like the voice of a troll. It goes, grrr, grrr, grrr.
And as we return to the house, we are welcomed once again by the clear notes of the robin.
Isn't it extraordinary?
What is also extraordinary is that 68% of the American population feeds birds. And Jane, I know that you are fond of birds as well as bogs, so I present you with your very own copy of The Swamp in June.
It's birds and bogs, but I don't care much for bugs. By the way, I'd like to take a public stand against wind chimes. Wind chimes drown out birds and natural sounds.
You heard it here.
Yes, we'll be back after message.